The movie opens with two inseparable friends, headstrong Katie and free-spirited Sloane, excitedly preparing for an upcoming trip to the countryside. They're looking forward to spending an entire month working on an organic farm, hoping to earn some money for a shopping spree in New York City. The next day, Katie's uncle Jason, who's a police officer, picks them up. Before heading to the farm, they decide to spend the night at Jason's place with his girlfriend. As they're settling in at their uncle's house, Sloane suggests they come up with fake names to use during their time on the farm. She picks the name Heather for herself, while Katie chooses Ripley. The following day, Uncle Jason drives them to the bus station, where they'll catch a bus to the farm. Being a protective uncle and an experienced cop, Jason strongly advises the girls to come up with a safe word in case of danger. He explains that they should include this word at the end of each message they sent him so he knows they're okay. Additionally, Jason asks Katie to send him a different code word each day, following alphabetical order. The first safe word for the first day is apple. After Jason leaves, the girls are left waiting for the bus, which is expected to arrive in about an hour. They decide to spend the waiting time at a nearby cafe. As soon as they arrive, they catch the attention of the bartender and local guys. Soon, they all sit together, and the girls introduce themselves using the fake names they had come up with earlier. The men introduce themselves as brothers, Jet and Lucas, and after a brief conversation, they offer to drive the girls directly to the farm. Katie hesitates at first, wanting to decline the offer, but Sloane convinces her with just a look to go along with the plan. Eventually, they get into the brothers' blue pickup truck. However, the ride takes an unexpected turn when Jet deliberately drives past the turnoff to the farm and only stops when they reach his house, ignoring the girls' protests. When they arrive at the unfamiliar house, the brothers' mother greets them and invites the girls in for tea before they continue to the farm. Seeing the mother, the girls lower their guard and agree to enter the house. As they sit down at the table, Katie receives a message from her uncle. Using the prearranged safe words, she reassures him that everything is fine. The girls calmly enjoy the pie and tea, but suddenly, their vision starts to blur. They realize that something was slipped into their drinks. They try to escape but lose consciousness along the way. The brothers catch them and carry them back into the house. The next day, Katie and Sloane wake up to find themselves chained in the middle of a forest. Jet approaches them and informs them that this is where they'll be living from now on. He hands them some clothes and shows them that the containers nearby have a bed and a toilet inside. After some time, the leader of the criminal group, known as Boris, arrives. He takes Katie's phone to check if anyone knows where the girls are. Quickly, he realizes that the girls lied about their names and notices that they're using code words in their messages. Under threat, Katie and Sloane are forced to confess that apple was their safe word. Boris then sends a text to Jason, Katie's uncle, adding the word apple at the end to assure him that everything is fine. The brothers then order the captives to take a bath in a makeshift shower. However, suddenly, the town sheriff arrives with his gun drawn. The girls believe that rescue is near and run towards him, but to their horror, they discover that the sheriff is in on the operation and is deeply involved in human trafficking. His visit is purely for his own amusement with one of the girls. After he has his way, Sloane tries to comfort and support Katie. Meanwhile, in another part of town, Uncle Jason starts to worry. The last message he received from his niece contains the same safe word she used the previous day. Back in the forest, Jet and Lucas meet with another client. The client takes Sloane and leads her into a metal container. It turns out this man is a true sadist, and Sloane screams of pain echo through the woods. Meanwhile, Jason, being a police officer, decides to check if Sloane and Katie made it to their destination. He calls the farm where the girls were supposed to be, only to learn they never arrived. Realizing that his niece and her friend are in serious trouble, he immediately starts searching for them. As the situation becomes increasingly dangerous for Sloane and Katie, they are brought to 3 more clients and have bags placed over their heads so they can't see the men's faces. One client, wearing a pig mask, chooses Sloane. He turns out to be even more brutal than the others, leaving the poor girl sobbing uncontrollably once he's done with her. Katie tries to comfort the deeply shaken Sloane. On the other side of town, Katie's uncle, now revealed to be an FBI agent, reports the disappearance of the 2 young women to the local police station. The sheriff downplays the situation, suggesting the girls might just be out having fun. But Jason insists, explaining that Katie sent the wrong code word, indicating they're definitely in danger. After Jason leaves, the sheriff warns Boris that they have trouble with the FBI. Boris immediately heads to the forest and orders Jet to kill the girls and dispose of their bodies, as they've done with previous captives. Katie overhears this conversation by chance. Jason doesn't trust the suspicious sheriff, so he heads to the cafe near where he had dropped off the girls. He questions the bartender, who accurately describes a pickup truck that 2 men used to take the girls away. Meanwhile, in the forest, Katie shares with Sloane the information she overheard about the criminals' plans. Suddenly, the brothers arrive with the sadistic client, But soon after, Jet and Lucas leave for town to find new victims, leaving the client behind to watch over the captives. Realizing this might be their only chance to escape, Katie decides to take action. She starts flirting with the man, pretending to be attracted to him, and unexpectedly tells him how much she likes his roughness. At the moment when he lets his guard down, Katie suddenly bites into his carotid artery. The man collapses in pain, and the girls find the key to their handcuffs in his pocket and free themselves. Taking some money from the injured man, they run into the forest. Soon after, the sheriff arrives to eliminate the dangerous witnesses, only to discover the client's body. Meanwhile, the girls seize the moment, quietly slipping into his car and speeding away. On the highway, they spot two other girls standing by the roadside. After a brief discussion, Katie and Sloane decide not to run any further, realizing they need to end this nightmare once and for all. They stop at a hardware store, purchasing everything they need for their revenge. The friends ask the store clerk where Boris lives and head to his house. At the same time, Jason visits an insurance company and lies to the employees, saying a blue pickup truck hit his car and fled, to find out Boris's home address. Everyone converges on Boris's location, but the girls arrive first. They set up an ambush, using tennis balls filled with nails, which they throw at Boris. They then tie him up and create an improvised torture device. Boris tries to bribe them, revealing where he hides a large sum of money and a gun, and the girls promise to release him in exchange for the name of the man in the pig mask. Boris reveals the identity of the mysterious man, but Katie and Sloane have no intention of letting him go. They use a makeshift spear to finish him off. When Uncle Jason finally arrives at the house, he finds Boris in critical condition. Hearing the sound of car engines, Jason runs outside, but it's too late. The girls have already left, and he's forced to rush Boris to the hospital. Later, Jason learns from the sheriff that Boris didn't survive. Alarmed, Jason tries to call Katie, but suddenly hears her music playing from the sheriff's pocket. Realizing his cover has been blown, the sheriff pulls out a gun. Meanwhile, Katie and Sloane arrive at a church and, noticing a tattoo on a man's hand, realize that the person in the pig mask is the town priest. Sloane grabs a baseball bat and resolutely enters the church, where they come face to face with their tormentor. With Katie's help, they overpower the villain and leave the scene. Satisfied with their revenge, Katie and Sloane stop and get out of the car, revealing that the priest had been tied to the back of the truck the entire time. Before driving off, they douse him in gasoline and set him on fire. While the girls seem to be out of danger, Uncle Jason finds himself captured by the sheriff, who has also kidnapped two new girls to be his next victims. The sheriff plans to kill the agent, but Katie and Sloane arrive just in time. They tie up the corrupt cop and start playing Russian roulette with him, making it clear that they are no longer the same people they were before. The sheriff begs for mercy, offering money in exchange for his life, but Katie coldly ends his life. Afterward, Katie and Sloane free the captive girls and instruct them to release Uncle Jason. Then they head to the home of Jet and Lucas's mother. They sneak into the house and drug the entire family, just as they were drugged a few days earlier. They tie up the woman and lead her to the basement, where Jet is already bound and gagged. The girls brutally beat him with baseball bats, delivering the final blow to his head, forcing his mother to watch the horrifying scene. Next, they bring her to Lucas, who is tied to a chair. However, instead of doing the same to him, they untie him, hand him a baseball bat, and order him to beat his own mother. When Lucas refuses, they shoot him. The girls then place the gun in Lucas's hand, making it look like he committed the murders. The desperate mother, like the others before her, offers money in exchange for her life, but instead of sparing her, Katie takes a lawnmower and brutally finishes her off. Some time later, in the film's final scene, Uncle Jason arrives at Katie's house to pick her and Sloane up. Katie's mother asks her brother if she should be worried about the girls, to which he confidently replies that there's no reason for concern. The girls then arrive at the airport, excitedly boarding their flight to New York.